Hello everyone, my name is Will, and I'm that guy flying into the bottom left of your screen right now. In this video, I want to walk you through the study cycle, an active learning strategy that has genuinely changed how I approach my learning. Honestly, it's been the single biggest driver in my success with grades and results as a student. The funny part is that the study cycle itself isn't really about the results at all. It's about process. Review, preview, attend, review, study, and assess. When I started treating my learning as a process instead of obsessing over the outcome, everything became easier. I felt more confident, less stressed, and way more prepared when the exam week came around. So in this video, I'm going to break down how the study cycle works, how I applied it in some tough classes, the challenges I ran into, and a few tips that made a huge difference for me. Let's start by looking at what the study cycle actually is and what each step means. The study cycle is made up of 5 steps: preview, attend, review, study, and assess. But it's important to understand that these steps do not look the same for every student or every course. So first is previewing, or simply preparing yourself to walk into class with some clue of what's coming. Sometimes that means skimming a chapter or looking at lecture slides ahead. Sometimes the best preview for me was actually just a review of my most recent class's notes. So often preview and review blend together, but we'll touch more on this later. And then we have attend. And I honestly believe this is the single most important step of the whole cycle because all the other steps rely on it. Attending class doesn't mean you have to raise your hand or talk all the time. It just means being mentally present. Listening, thinking, keeping up with the pace, and taking notes when it makes sense. After class comes review. Skimming, filling in gaps, clarifying anything that confused you, or jotting down questions to check later. Like I mentioned before, sometimes my best way to preview was just to review, so sometimes these blend. Then study, which is where you actively practice. That might mean working through problem sets, identifying important material, teaching concepts out loud, making Quizlets, or mapping ideas. Finally, there's assess, which is basically asking yourself, do I actually understand this well enough to explain it? Is this process working well for me? Can I adjust anything I'm doing to make this process smoother? Do I need to adjust how I take notes in class? Etc. The power of the study cycle isn't just the 5 steps, it's the consistency and the adaptability you build by following a process that works across any class. Now let me show you how this looked in real life when I used it in my hardest courses. In calculus, my preview was pretty much built in because it was a flip style classroom. Before each class, we watched a video that had guided examples and practice on your own due before class started each morning. During class, we'd go over any questions people had in the pre-class work. The professor would offer up any important notes and provide additional problems. Anytime I got confused, I'd mark the spot with a red question mark in my notes. Later on, during my review step, I'd go straight back to those marks and work through them. If I still didn't get it, I'd ask the professor or compare with classmates. In intermediate micro, the study step was the star of the show. Before exams, I'd write out a detailed study plan, review lecture notes, identify the key formulas, redo every single practice problem, mark the ones I got wrong, and add those exact problem types and the keys to solving those problems into a Quizlet. Those econ Quizlets were lifesavers, especially for cumulative exams on Cobb-Douglas problems, marginal analysis steps, and optimization techniques. Over time, the study cycle stopped feeling so much like a strategy, but rather just became the way I learned. Whether the course was conceptual like English and ag policy or technical like accounting and calculus, this approach helped me stay clear about my preparation technique rather than dwelling on how I would get a good grade. Now, even though the study cycle helped me a lot, it definitely wasn't always smooth. Let's talk about some challenges I ran into and how I adjusted. Some professors move so fast that taking notes becomes stressful. There were days when I fell behind, and instead of panicking, I would stop writing and just listen. I found that if I stayed engaged mentally, I remembered more than I expected once I sat to review. Another challenge was that preview doesn't always work the way the study cycle describes it. A lot of classes don't post slides ahead of time and don't have textbooks. In those situations, I used what I call preview by reviewing, basically reviewing the last class material so I'm not just walking in cold. Studying can also get overwhelming if you don't have a plan. What helped me was writing a simple study plan before every session. What I'm reviewing, which problems I'm redoing, what needs to go into the Quizlet, and how long I'll be studying. Once I wrote the plan, the only thing left to do was just execute it. I also started using a timer, about 40 to 50 minutes of studying before taking a short break to reward myself in some sort of way. Whether it was listening to a song or getting a snack, the break helped me be more productive. Having a timer completely eliminated the constant stress and wonder about whether or not I've been sitting or thinking too hard for too long. And honestly, the biggest tip I can give is this: keep a good attitude. Having the right mindset each day, no matter what the circumstances are, gets you 80% of the way there. You can't control how hard a class is or how fast a professor talks, but you can control showing up and staying engaged. If you focus on your process, the results will follow. So now that I've talked about the challenges and how I handled them, let's wrap up with the impact the study cycle has had on my learning. The study cycle helped me become a more consistent and confident student. It made exam weeks less stressful because I wasn't cramming. I already had a process in place, and it helped me to adapt to different teaching styles, different subjects, and different expectations. And above all, it helped me shift my focus from results to preparation, which honestly made the results even better. If you're trying to become a stronger learner, I really encourage you to try the study cycle this week. Even small changes within the study cycle itself, like reviewing your notes with intention or planning your study sessions, can make a massive difference. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you build a more confident, structured, and successful approach to learning. And remember, as cliche as it sounds, just trust the process, and you'll look back on your college career with a tremendous amount of pride and achievement to show for it.